All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the latest edition of Baptized Fire with Brother Martin. It's Brother Martin here. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, holy crap, Chris, you're recording super late or super early, depending on where you're at. And this is the you've been promising to do like a show for the past few days, and you're right, guys. Which I have. And like the God honest truth is that whenever like your daughter she walks in the room and because I've had like the past 2 days off and like your daughter like Shia walks in and she's wanting to have movie night with daddy, then by God, I don't care what's going on. We're gonna have movie night because ultimately you guys know that family is the most important thing within my life besides God because God's the foundation that my family is built on. So to like the ones that were looking forward to it, like the ones that had their dogs gone missing, they lost their jobs, and by God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And you had to go to the hospital because of all this stuff because you weren't able to watch my stuff and take it in. I'm sorry. I really am because by God, you don't deserve it. So this is the deal, which I'm gonna let everybody know for any pain or suffering that I might have caused the three people that I watched this show, like the trace three people. I'll make a deal with you. Like the next time you guys are the next time you guys are down in Myrtle Beach, I will gladly. We could go out for like a drink. I'll get you some YooHoo. I'll get you. We'll go down to the melting pot. I'll get you like a chocolate martini. Heck, I don't care. I'll buy you a drink and I'll make it up to you because you know what? It's not good to feel pain within your life, guys. And I know, like for some people that this show is something that they have to cling on to within their life because they look forward to it so much. No, I'm fucking with you. I ain't that type of person to where I take myself that seriously. But anyways, I just want to say welcome to the latest edition of Baptized Fire with Brother Martin, and I'm going to be talking about some fun stuff, some serious stuff, some tough stuff on this show. And which I'm going to be blunt, raw, dirty, filthy, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be extremely truthful here, guys, because I really have a lot of shit on my mind and I got to get it off my chest, baby, just like the American dream. Thus the rose. We're gonna wine and dine with kings and queens. We're gonna sit in alleys and fart while eating pork and beans. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, guys, I just want to say thank you so much. And it's something that I look forward to every single time that I record because ultimately this is like therapy for me. I love doing this, but also at the same time, though, it's difficult for me to get time because, like I said, between family, work, and just all kinds of the rickety racketies, it's hard for me to get to that point to where I am able to sit down and be able to do like a show where like I can really get focused on what I need to do. So like I am on YouTube right now. I'm trying to get this all squared away, like with sharing. Please forgive me on that. And I am here. I am here. Get used to it, okay? And like the thing is that I know I have no illusions about this. I'm not psycho. I'm not crazy. Well, with accordance to the doctors. But anyways, but if I ever get like a sponsor for this show, which I don't think it'll ever happen, which I don't do this for money, honestly, guys, which I do this for stuff for fun. And I excuse me. And I do it for therapeutic purposes. But if I were to ever get a sponsor for this, with like the dozens upon dozens of views, which I get every month, YooHoo would be a great sponsor. I would love to have YooHoo here because, like, straight up, I'm a firm believer if Jesus had a favorite drink besides wine, YooHoo, baby. Anyways, I hope everybody's doing well. So, with that said, guys, it's been an awesome past few weeks for me. I went to my hometown in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, baby. And I've realized a lot of things, and I've realized certain things within my life that I need to fix. I've had a bad habit, and which I've been accused of this, and it's true. And I have a bad habit of, when it comes to certain subjects and certain things, I'm extremely vague. And which, I'll be blunt with you, on certain things, I'm purposely vague because I don't like to give out a ton of information on certain things. But at the same time, though, when it comes to certain things where people are helping me, they deserve to know the full truth. And that's my fault, and I need to work on that. So I am going to do that right now. The other day, I posted a tweet about something that's going on within my life, to where I feel like I need to be more open and more honest with every single person here. So I have I posted this, and which I'm going to read it off, and I'm going to just go from there. That being something that has been weighing heavy on my heart. That being for everything that I've said within the past for attention or shock value that hurt people directly or indirectly, which I do apologize and deeply regret the negative impact that it has. The second message is, misrepresentations and half-truths are not who I am. And within my heart, as my family and close friends know the real me and see that at times when you are at your lowest, you can say or do things that are completely out of character due to wanting to fill voids created through pain, loss, among other variables. It's time for me to be 100% true to who God made me by owning up to my past mistakes. And guys, this is the truth right here, which in life, if you don't confront your past, it will eventually confront you, especially like with social media, the internet, like cancel culture, all this bullshit. I mean, every single thing that you post, say, or do, the God honest truth, you are being watched, recorded, or it, I mean, straight up, which I'm shocked we live in a world still that you can take a shit and you have privacy, because I hate to say it, but privacy is non-existent. So with that said, which I'm included, and which I need to be blunt with you guys, I need to be more careful, like with how I say things. I need to be more careful, like with how I do things. And because not only am I setting an example for like my kids, but I'm setting an example for others, whether I choose to acknowledge that or not. So like with me being a Christian, I need to realize, hey, with my words, with my actions, that I need to be more mindful. So that's what I'm working on, guys, is being more mindful on everything. So I need to be more mindful of the fact that there's people that wanted to watch this 2 days ago, but also I need to be more mindful that, like my daughter, she wants to watch movies as well with me. So we were able to watch, it was Sing 2, which is really, really good, by the way, guys. And also we were able to watch, it was a movie called Bad Guys. So I like great movies, guys. And we had an absolutely blast, a phenomenal blast. Okay, so Raving Ninja, it's Random Peeps. You made it. Yes, you did, brother. You made it, and welcome. Come on down to the altar, to the baptized fire, baby, because you will either get redeemed or you'll get burned. Hallelujah. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, I also said that I've been 100% honest when it comes to struggling with mental health, neck, and spine, along with other issues. However, I haven't been forthcoming when it comes to sharing greater detail about my journey, especially with the ones who helped me, who helped contribute to me, to helping me improve my everyday life, which I feel terrible about leaving so many people out and being so vague when it comes to things. which I will make a better effort to be more thorough, mindful, and upfront with everything, because I understand how now why it might look like something that it's not meant to be. Once again, which it's a matter of learning from your mistakes, owning up to your bullshit, and acknowledgement of lies, half truths, misrepresentations, vagueness that I've put out there. And for that, I'm deeply sorry. And that's the God honest truth, guys. I am deeply sorry for a bunch of that shit. And I believe it was Miss Jericho. Miss Jericho, that account, which Miss Jericho is a big supporter of Russo, I believe, which I'm friends with that account on with Twitter, I think. And Miss Jericho said something to me, basically, that if you admit that you scammed people, and if you admit that you never had the surgery, then all will be forgiven, which I understand. So I understand why you feel that way. I got you. And that goes back to what I was saying when it comes to vagueness and me not being more forthcoming with what's going on within my life. Because you know what? My wife, she said something to me like that. She said something to me like that makes a lot of sense. And I'm not very good with, and which I need to work on. She said, just because we know what's going on within your life, because we see you and because like we're with you daily, that doesn't mean that the average person that gives to you via the internet knows what's going on. Because like the perspective that we see is not the perspective that they see, because they don't see you on a daily basis. They don't know what you're going through within a daily basis. And that's your job for you to share that. And that's your job to post that. And that's your job to reassure them that what they're doing is a sincere, truthful representation of what you're saying. So for that, I'm going to work on that, guys. I am sorry that it looked like something that it wasn't. Okay, I agree. Some people are hooked on phonics and stuck on stupid. Amen to that, brother. You can't fix stupid. And something I've noticed is that when it comes to common sense, it's definitely not common. So for me, I need to be more mindful of that. And when it comes to people that give to me, because like my wife said, like the least you can do is the ones that are not there for you daily physically, you could at least make up to it. You could at least make it up to them by through social media or phone calls or text or email, and you can give them like the constant updates on what's going on. So going forward, that's what I'm gonna do, guys, because I know, once again, it seems like something that's not. So yeah. But yeah. So the thing is that what I'm trying to say on that is, like, with me being extremely forthcoming and me really needing like to cut the bullshit and stop being so lazy and stop being so what's the word? I procrastinate on certain things. I do, which I don't when it comes to work. I don't when it comes to family, but when it comes to other things, I do. So I need to be more forthcoming, more honest, and less vague with people. So I'm going to work on that, guys. And what I'm going to say is that, once again, when it comes to like my neck and spine issues, I did legitimately have surgery. I did. I had surgery back in 2020. And I had, which I had surgery. And I just want to say to every single person out there that gave, I do appreciate it. I do value you. And the fact that within like the past 2 years, which I'm on a work rampage when it comes to doing well. I got which I've gotten like my 2 pay raises. I've gotten like my promotion. I've gotten so many things that have happened due to being able to feel better because of being able to get that surgery done. That led me to working harder so I get those opportunities. Not only that, but I'm able to do better when it comes to my wife and like my kids. Hell, and like my wife, she used to have to bathe me. She used to have to tie my shoes. Like there's days where I physically couldn't get out of bed because I was in so much pain. And like the fact is because you guys were helping me with that surgery, it greatly helped when it came to my quality of life. So I say thank you for that. But once again, I do apologize for not being more forthcoming with everything. Because there's a lot of scammers out there, and there's a lot of people that, yeah, like let's be blunt here, like they're full of shit. So I just want to say that I do apologize for that. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful. I'm grateful because not only has it helped me with like my work life, but it's also helped me when it comes to I got some people like that will want to post something funny on my Twitter, but which it's also helped me in the bedroom, baby. Because yes, I can wine and dine with kings and queens, and I wine and there's times where I wine and dine my wife and give her the time of her life, baby. That's what I do, and that's all due to being able to feel better, so I can do more things. And guys, thank you. All right, hold on. Shame that's in USA and UK. Hold on a second, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. So, like the Raven Ninja said, shame that it's like that, like within the USA, because if it's in the UK, then it'll be free, and that's true because yes, which unfortunately the healthcare system here is absolutely fucking dreadful. So, where have you gone? You had to take dogs out. Well, I had to speak to my wife for a second, so I had to get off the screen for a minute. But anyways. It's an absolute doozy woozy on that. And when it comes down to it, especially like the healthcare system within this country, it's absolutely fucking dreadful. And unfortunately, we do live in a nation where you have certain sides that want to make the majority of the majority of Americans feel guilty for wanting to get healthcare. This country, there's a lot of people that shame others for wanting food. They shame others for wanting healthcare, and they shame others just for wanting help. Now, for me personally, which I'm a firm believer, and I do believe in, like, as long as you are legal, and as long as you pay taxes, and as long as you work hard, you should have the right to affordable healthcare. And I do believe in this country that healthcare should be free. The fact that we can give massive tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires, and yet you have somebody like my dad back in the day, he made right around $200,000 a year. My dad would pay a higher tax rate than somebody that would make $10 million a year. That's fucked up and extremely backwards on things like in this country. But unfortunately, we do live in a country that is manipulated and managed by a bunch of greedy people. Whether you are a Republican or whether you are a Democrat, there's assholes on both sides. So, I mean, you guys can say to me, you're like, hey, Chris, I understand. And like, you're probably one of those people that are like a diehard liberal. Well, for me, which I'm a liberal progressive. So I see things from both sides, which I'm more of like a centrist. I see things like from both sides because I feel like we do need to be stricter when it comes to focusing on making sure that our citizens are well taken care of. But at the same time, though, we do need to take care of them, meaning we need to put more money towards those programs that help the poor people. Because not all poor people are lazy. I don't give a fuck what the stereotype is. Because I know a ton of people that bust their ass and work hard, but because of like the way like the wages are, they have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to make it. And it's unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate, especially like with the way like the divorce rates are. There's so many single parents. I mean, it's just a fucking, it's a huge clusterfuck, guys. And the thing is that the same individuals that want to claim that they are pro-life, which like that's sweet, don't get me wrong, they don't care for stricter regulations on who can get firearms. So it's just kind of like, you're cool when the fetus is formed, but as soon as it's born, let's say it needs food stamps, let's say it needs WIC or housing. No, fuck that, because like the person that gave birth, like they're lazy, they're this, they're that. The contradictions are just maddening on both sides. So for me, it just drives me nuts. This country has a lot of issues. We are fucked up in many, many ways, but ultimately it's not to the point to where it's hopeless. So anyways, where was I going with this? Yeah, which I have a tendency to kind of go in the other direction. But speaking of that, which I'm going to say this before I move on, there's a huge outcry on Twitter because the owner of Tesla, which is Elon Musk, he bought Twitter, and there's a lot of people that are outraged. There's like, this is bullshit. I'm going to boycott. And I'm going to quit Twitter, and this is going to turn into like a massive hellscape where like racists and conservatives and all this shit, like they're going to rule the roost. This is the God honest truth, guys. And this goes for something as simple as you watching like a television show. If you don't like what you watch, if you don't like what you see, change the fucking channel. No one is forcing you to participate within that medium. No one is forcing you to deal with what certain people say. You have the option to either tune in or tune out. So you can either tune out and walk away, or you can tune in and, in my opinion, just shut the fuck up. Because you're exposing yourself, and which at this point, you are purposely just looking for shit to complain about. I'm sorry, but it's true. And someone which I greatly respect and greatly look up to, which is Mick Foley, he put his money where his mouth was, and he said that if Elon Musk bought like the platform, he would quit Twitter, which he did, which I respect Mick. So instead of sticking around, you just a bitch, moan, and complain, Mick said, screw it, man. I'm not going which I'm not going to expose myself to that. Which personally for me, I haven't had no issues. Because for the most part, for bullshit and drama, you have to be looking for it. Or you have to be saying stuff that's really not of high intelligence. I'm sorry, but I'm a psychic about it. And this is coming from a progressive, guys. So it's as simple as this. If you don't like it, then leave it. It's that fucking simple. So, anyways, like with that said, guys, I'm sorry. I just had to say it. But when it comes to the whole thing, back to what I was saying about the whole thing with like my neck and spine issues, I have to be going forward, which I'm going to be more open, be more honest, and be more detailed with everything. And certain people, they have a thing where they hate me, and I understand why they feel that way. And that's back to like the whole thing, like with vagueness and misleading people and all that. And sometimes I did do that for attention. I'm not going to lie to you guys, because I struggle with bipolar manic depression. So sometimes I get depressed and you end up saying stuff because it's a cry for attention. And I understand that. But sometimes it's not, which it's not appropriate. And you need to be careful, like with what you say, because you got to think to yourself that this could greatly alter and greatly fucking offend people. So sometimes I don't think before I post or speak. And like my wife, she can vouch for that. Like my kids can vouch for that. And there's one thing where some people are saying that they hate me. And for me personally, which I don't hate anybody, no more. Which I've learned to forgive others when it comes to things, because I realize that by having hate within my heart, that I'm giving power to that individual, and that's taking space within my heart that could be for something else that's more productive and better suited to where you can help inspire others. So for me, like the last time that I really had hate like in my heart, it was, the honest truth is, whenever my uncle, he killed my mom. I've had a really piss poor history like with my uncle. I've been open when it comes to speaking about like my childhood. 98% of like my childhood was fantastic, and I had great parents. I'm not gonna lie to you guys; they were there for everything. But also, I did have certain times where I had traumas. I was sexually abused by my uncle, and for many, many years, I had so much anger and so much hatred towards him. And honestly, it did me no good. So then the night that like my mom was killed, like my uncle was behind the wheel. He fell asleep and they hit like a telephone pole. My uncle, no scratches, nothing, just no issues at all. Like my mom was killed on impact. And those old wounds from what happened to me being like a child, it resurfaced, like they reopened because of like my anger towards him. So, which I hated him with a passion. Once again, not only because of what happened to me, but because of what he did when it comes to like my mom. And unfortunately, it's not healthy, guys. You're not going to be able to move on. Like you're not going to be able to be the best version of who God wants you to be if you hold those grudges. So for me, I got to the point to where I started like to pray about it. I spoke to like which I spoke to like some great people. I spoke to Um, like my best friend Tim. I spoke to John. I spoke to like my pastor. I spoke to like so many people, and like the consensus was that hatred gives that person power over you, and that hatred is space that could be made for something else more positive. And so I eventually, and this was a couple years ago, which I eventually got to the point to where I forgave him fully 100%. Now, with that forgiveness, does that mean that he shouldn't face the consequences? No, he should face his consequences. I feel like if he's sentenced to 30 years in jail, which he currently is, he should serve it, because hopefully that will wake him up and that will make him a better person and realize that there are consequences for your actions, and you need to realize it. And which if you don't acknowledge it, then you can't learn, which if you can't learn, then you can't grow. So like, it's just so many things. So like, bottom line, I get it why people hate. I get it. I understand, because I've had hate like within my heart. Now are there certain people which I strongly dislike? Yes. There are people which I don't like for the fact that they see things from a narrow-minded view, and they refuse to be more open with how they view life. And it drives me nuts, because I know they would be able to do so much better like within their life by not having their head up their ass so much. I'm sorry, that's mean, but yeah. So I'm going to say this real quick. There was an individual that says that he hates me, and I understand why. But he did inspire me, and which I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but which I started in podcasting because of one of these people. And there was a podcast by the name of the two-man power trip of wrestling with John Paz and Chad. Okay. And this was during a very, very difficult time like in my life, to where I tried to commit suicide. Wrestling has always been something that was like my go-to my whole life. Dealing with anger, just dealing like with depression, sadness, everything. Wrestling was that thing that I always clung on to. Then I eventually found God. So like wrestling, God, family, all that stuff. So, but wrestling has always been there for me. So I discovered podcasting, and right after I got out of the nut house, because I tried to kill myself, which I was listening to a show with John Paz and Chad with Vince Russo. And once I got out of the nut house, I started to listen to Vince Russo, and Vince, he inspired me with the show called That's Life. He inspired me to start my own show, which was inspired with Christopher. And that was a huge help for me when it comes for me being able to be more expressive, like with my feelings, and honestly, just so many positives happen because of that. And that all started because I listened to a show, and it led to, which was like a chain reaction, which I guess you could say. And then on top of that, that led me to meeting. That led me to becoming friends with Mike Durban, which he was a huge inspiration for like my podcasting and everything else. Then it led for me like John Wangland and all. I mean, just so many great things happened because of this one podcast. So it was like a chain reaction, because I know, and John, Mr. Paz, John Paz, baby, he is extremely nice to me. Now, whether he likes me personally, he's been extremely respectful to me, and which I would like to think so. And he's always been nice to me, so I will always be grateful for that, and I will always have nothing but the utmost love and respect for him because he's doing something that I wish that I could do. Him and Chad, hands down. I think, with the exception of the the ad free shows, I would have to say John and Chad. They are the two most talented wrestling podcasters out there. You talk about the hustle, you talk about the grind. These guys are absolutely extremely talented, and they're phenomenal. I will always give credit where it's due. And hold on. Let's see. It always helps whenever you're 130% transparent. Ain't that right? That is correct. And so for that, I'm always grateful for it because they not only they helped me through like a time where I was struggling with depression, but it also led to so many other doors opening. And I know some people, they're going to look at that saying, "Ah, shit, God, which if only that door wasn't open, then we wouldn't be dealing with the shit that we're dealing with now." So I understand that there's some people that feel that way. And certain things which I've said and done, rightfully so, they should feel that way because I was being an inconsiderate jackass. I was. So I get it. So, and certain things too. There was a lot of, hold on. Their podcasts are great. They're perfectly rated. Yeah, I agree. They're phenomenal. I will, which I will, to quote Cameron Grimes, to the moon, which I will promote them because they are awesome. And there's certain things which I used to say like for shock value and like to get attention. And one of the things was me and John, we used to joke around within like our podcast and just certain things we didn't realize some people like would take personal. Now we might have been joking, but some people might not take it as a joke. So like there's certain things, especially like with certain people like that Mr. Chad like was close with, that I said, which I deeply regret because once again, just like with where I would love to be like with podcasting, because John and Chad, they are miles ahead of where I would ever be at when it comes to like wrestling podcasting. There was a friend of his, which was Francine, and I was joking and I said stuff that wasn't so nice. And I realized that even within like a joking manner, sometimes you can come off like a jackass and it's not appropriate. So that was one of the reasons why like the Chad, he didn't like me. And I understand because I was a dick. And the thing is that which I publicly apologized, and I do feel sorry for what I said, and I haven't said nothing negative since. But also like the main thing is that there is something that I was not forthcoming about. And I kept dodging because I did not feel comfortable speaking about it because I knew what kind of a huge can of worms which it would open, which it already did, whether I will refuse to acknowledge it or like to acknowledge it or whatever. But I want to say this, that I was not forthcoming about the whole thing when it comes to like my health. posted a tweet back in 2018. Once again, sometimes you say and you do things for attention, and it backfires. This was one of them. I posted that I had cancer and that I had treatments and that I was healed of it. And the thing is that, which I was telling half truths. Now, did I get treatments for a form of lymphoma? Yes. Yes, I did. It was back in 2018, which I had my spleen removed. Now, was I completely forthcoming, like with proof and all that? No, I was not, because once again, back to like my tweets from earlier, sometimes like the truth will sometimes certain things like will come back and bite you on the ass. So for me, which I had some issues with my white blood cells within my spleen. And they said that it was a form of lymphoma. So I had to have like my spleen removed. And I know like there's some people out there, like they're saying, well, wait a second, Chris, like scars, this, that, the other, you don't have any. Well, this is the thing, guys. I do have a scar on my stomach right here. Hold on. This is not a fat roll or nothing like that. This is where I was cut. And I had my spleen removed, guys. And I'm sorry if I wasn't more honest and more forthcoming with everything. And I know why it looked like what it looked like. And then I know like there's some people that say to me, oh man, the bullshit, like, well, what about Rob? And what about the tweets and all that shit? Well, guys, honestly, it's really to the point with Rob that I don't give a fuck. I wish the best for the guy, because ultimately I get why he feels the way which he feels, but just like me, which I'm insecure with certain things. I really am. But by God, he's like that times 100 when it comes to wanting attention horribly. And for me, I used my health issues as a way for me to get attention, and it wasn't right in certain ways. My issues, like with like my spleen, I shouldn't have. Honestly, I shouldn't have even fucking tweeted about it, because it might show up as something which it doesn't seem like. I understand that. So I do apologize for that. For the individuals that might have gotten offended and hurt, I am deeply sorry. If you still hate me, I gotcha. I understand, which I hope one day you eventually get to the point to where you could just let bygones be bygones. We ain't got to exchange Christmas cards. We ain't got to be best friends by no means, but I pray one day that you can realize that just sometimes things don't go the way that they should, and shit goes south, and just it's like a huge clusterfuck of stuff. So I just want to say, which for the individuals that hate me, I don't hate you, and that I want the best for you. And I want to say, you inspired me, not only back in the day, but you inspired me to do this podcast right here, to where I have to be, where I realize that sometimes I'm way too vague. I'm not as open as I should be on things, and I need to be more upfront. So that's what I'm doing. Going forward, I'm not going to have, if anybody has any questions for me, I'm going to be extremely brutally honest about it. I'm not going to like to tiptoe right around it. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not, because it does bother me whenever people say that they hate me, because the God honest truth, yes, I did partially set myself up for it. I ain't gonna lie to you, I did. But also, I wish some people would take more time to get to know me better. And there's some people that say to me, Chris, when it comes to John, Mr. Wanglin, one of your best friends, your brother, it baffles people why he sticks up for me so much. It baffles people why he has a loyal to he's a diehard loyalist to me. Do you know why? It's because John has seen things when it comes to my personal life and like my health issues and my family that none of you have. So John knows the complete and whole truth when it comes to my life and my health issues. And I get it. Some of you are thinking, well, you guys are like two peas in a fucking pod. Hold on. He says, don't do it just because you love it. Do it, but do it because also you can grow something that you're passionate about and to financially make more money. I agree, buddy. Which, if I can eventually make more money doing this, then that's awesome. But I'm not gonna say, hey, man, that's my goal. So, like, my main goal is to not only is for this to be like a form of therapy, but to also have like a record for my kids, to where like they can look back on and like they can watch my stuff and they can realize that I'm always with them and that I love them. So yeah. But yeah, when it comes down to it, like with John, I understand that there's some people, they're like, oh man, you and John, you're like two peas in a pod. And like a lot of people, they want to pass judgment, and I understand. I mean, you got like your criticisms and whatever, and that's on you. But I know what I know, and I've seen what I've seen, and I'm not just talking about podcasting, which I'm talking about life. And I know what kind of person he is, and he knows what kind of person that I am. And I guarantee you, every single person that's watching this, that if you were ever to get the opportunity like to visit here in Myrtle Beach and you were like to come up and meet me, you would feel silly when it comes to like the way that you pass judgment on me, because you'll realize, wait a second, he's a really good guy. He's been miscast. He's been judged sometimes fairly and sometimes unfairly. But I'm going to give him a shot. So I'm going to say, guys, I'm once again, for everything that I've said that might have came off as seemingly bullshit and fake and all that, and for like the lies and for like the half truths and all that, I'm sorry. I really am. I want to start this off as a clean slate. Holy shit, this is going longer than what I thought, but I want this to be like a clean slate. I want even people that can't stand me, for them to at least think. Take time to think and let what I say sink in. So yeah, guys, and I know that I'm going to have people that say to me, once again, just back to like the whole thing, like with the lymphoma. which I know like there's going to be some people that are going to say to me, well, Chris, what about that message that Rob sent you to where you acknowledged the whole thing with not knowing what he was talking about? The God honest truth, guys, which I should have handled that better. I really didn't think about it at the time. I was behaving like an idiot, and I wasn't really thinking. And which I know you guys are thinking, you're like, Chris, like with a medical issue like that, you're not going to forget. You're not going to have no issues or no qualms when it comes to acknowledging it. And for the most part, you're right. But honestly, was to the point with Rob because he was harassing me so much to where I wasn't thinking when I messaged him. And for me, I didn't think about it as cancer. I thought about it as lymphoma, which is a mild form of it. And the thing is that that's my fuck up and that's my mistake. And I know why it looks like the way it looks like. So I do apologize for not thinking before I messaged back. And then it got to the point to where I was so flustered that just straight up, yeah, I didn't, which I could have handled it better. I really could have. So I know like there's some people that you're going to look at this, podcast and you're going to think, holy crap, he's actually acknowledging things and he's actually manning up. Well, and I appreciate that, but also there's going to be those individuals that are going to flat out say, hey, he's full of shit. He's doing this for attention and sympathy. Honestly, guys, I'm not doing this for nothing other than for me to get this off my chest. Because honestly, I'm tired of the misrepresentations. I'm tired of like the lies, the half truths, and which I'm also taking responsibility for my participation in that because I need to do a better job. And sometimes I said and did things for attention, which I shouldn't have, because I struggle with depression. And just sometimes you like that quick feeling of someone seeing like that like or someone just reinforcing just something positive. It does make you feel good, but also, which I need to be careful like with what I post because it could really have a drastic effect on other people. Which, as a matter of fact, guys, I'm going to make this a multi-parter because clearly there's a lot more for me to say. But yeah, it's kind of early, so like I'm tired. I'm gonna lay down. Which I pray that this will get you guys to think. Which I'm going to give a shout out to two people. I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Mike Durband from Get My Go. And a shout out to Stephen Furtick. There's two shows that I was inspired by so I can make this. And that was the Get My Go show, like with the showdown. I think it was either part 3 or 4. And then there was a sermon by Stephen Furtick. So guys, thank you. And make sure like to check out like the new season of Get My Go. And like the Raven Ninja says, do you still feel the same when it comes to Russo? He's a good guy. Sat down there. Okay. Before I go, I'm going to say this because like I said, this is like a multi-parter because I didn't even get into like my trip to Pittsburgh. But when it comes down to it, like with Vince Russo, he is one of the main reasons why that I'm in podcasting. I will always be grateful for that. He's one of the main reasons why that I was able to get my spine surgery, which has helped lead me to a better life overall. I will always be grateful for that. Certain things with Russo, I don't really care for when it comes to his politics. I think that he's a little bit off on that, but ultimately, and plus, what drives me nuts is I stopped subscribing to like the Russo brand for one simple reason, which I loved his content with one exception, and that being, if you hate wrestling so much, then why the fuck do you talk about it? So like my thing about it is that between the whole thing, like with him becoming way too political, and the thing with him constantly complaining when it comes to how much he hates the business, but yet he's getting paid from the business, and it's just this and that and the other. I'm sorry, but I can't do it no more. Do I still listen to That's Life and all that? Yeah, I do. Vince does have a lot of great messages when it comes to his life experiences and stuff like that. I will always be grateful for that because, like I said, That's Life was the catalyst for me to start my Inspired show, which has led and morphed right into like my Baptized Fire. So I'll always be grateful for that. So Vince, which I wish him nothing but the best. I would love to talk to him, and which I would love to have him on my show. I don't know whether that'll happen or not. You just to strictly speak about faith. I'm not talking about wrestling. I'm not talking about like politics. I'm not talking about none of that, because I feel like Vince is a extremely strong man of faith, and I do believe that he is a wonderful family man. So I will always have the utmost love and respect for him on that fact. Now, but like I said, when it comes down to like the whole thing, like with wrestling, it's like, dude, you get paid to do something and you're good at it. Why are you complaining, man? And the thing is that he, whether people like it or not, he's the most successful writer in the history of wrestling. I know some people, which I'm going to quote Bischoff. He says, you look under the hood and there's nothing but like a bucket of bolts. I love Bischoff too, but ultimately you can't say that and look at Vince's track record and say that there wasn't something there, because ultimately there's no coincidence that the WWE had their highest ever ratings while Russo was there. And TNA Wrestling, they were at their zenith, and they had, I believe it was 2 million viewers per week while Vince was there. And now you look at Impact Wrestling, like with all due respect, I mean, they went from a massive national deal to now it's just, I don't even know whether they get like 100,000 viewers a week. And the thing which I loved about like TNA Wrestling back in the day, because which I'm a huge mark for it, and you guys know this, that Russo actually had stories for everybody. Now, like with current wrestling, it drives me nuts because I want to be able to feel and to be able to care and to be able to give a shit when it comes to the characters, the wrestlers, the promos, the entrances, all that. Why are these two people fighting, and why should I care? What is it like within your character that's causing a conflict with the other character that's going to set off this match? Unfortunately, with AEW, which I used to be like a huge supporter of them, and with TNA Wrestling, it's just a bunch of cold matches for the most part. And it's like, oh, these guys they get 5-star matches and this and that and da da da. I don't give a fuck. For me, it's the characters. Why? Why should I care? Because no offense, and some people aren't going to like me saying this, but it's the God honest truth. 5-star matches don't make money. And that's huge. That's extremely obvious. Look at the TV ratings. Look at pay-per-view buys. Look at so many other things. It doesn't do shit. And with the WWE, which I've been extremely harsh on them within the past couple of years, they have picked up the ball. They've ran with it. And with Triple H, they're doing phenomenal. I think they're doing great. And with AEW, they had like roughly like a 2-year period where they could have really taken a chunk of the WWE audience, but they didn't. Hell, they've been around since 2019 and they have not grown at all. It's sad. They can't even consistently have over 1.2 million people per week. And their TV product is over 3 years old. There's something wrong there. But anyways, guys, I'm sorry. I could go on and on when it comes like to wrestling and Russo and all that. But bottom line, which I love Russo, and I want the best for him. I think that he's got a wonderful heart. He's done a lot for me. He's inspired me. And I will always be grateful. I will always be grateful. And once again, like with the conversations we've had with this episode, which I'm doing to do like a multi-parter on this because this is some good stuff. I want people to realize that that it's okay to not be perfect, but it's also not okay for you to continue to live life without acknowledgement of your shortcomings and your screw-ups, because you can't grow that way. And for the people which I've hurt, I'm sorry. And for the people that have taken offense, I'm sorry. And which I'm talking about, you got Mr. Paz, which he's been nothing but nice to me. You got Chad. You got all those people that have inspired me with podcasting. Thank you. Mr. Durban, thank you. When it comes to Russo, thank you. Mr. John Wangland, thank you. Rob, which I'm going to give you some credit. Don't let this go to your head. But you were also someone that inspired me when it came to like your podcasting, because brother, you're good, man. You're a talented guy. It's just unfortunately you let your ego and you let the fact that you think you know everything get in the way of your talent. Which unfortunately, like, unless you make some drastic changes like within your life, because my assumption is you do want to make a career of this. My advice to you is get your head out of your ass, humble yourself, and realize that your issues cannot outweigh your talent. Because if that happens, then you're not going to go anywhere. Like right now, like with all due respect, me doing a recording, watching the WCW Saturday Night, my guess is it probably gets more views than you do within like a whole month of your lawnmower simulator stuff. So just saying, guys, and I'm just saying, man, and you're wanting to make a career of this, and I'm not, but it is what it is. Hold on. If he checked his ego at the door, he can make some huge waves out there, and that's true. Tony Khan is so cringy there, man. He always looks drugged out of his gore, and he's high on coke or wrestling. Like with Tony Khan, I believe that he might struggle. He might struggle with the snow, and I think he's somebody that loves the business so much, but he also does have ADD severely, and he's too damn stubborn and too damn prideful to acknowledge his shortcomings and like to take advice from people that have succeeded before him. For example, now with someone like Eric Bischoff is giving you freaking advice, go for it, man. The guy at one time like was one of the most successful men in the whole world in wrestling. Because if he's telling you something, listen. And do you have any advice for anyone struggling with prostitution? Okay, so I I so if you're struggling with prostitution, I'm gonna be blunt with you. You're beautiful, you're wonderful. Don't let no one tell you that you're less than. Your body is meant for somebody that's going to really value you. God doesn't mean for your body to be used as a means to an end. And I pray that everybody that struggles with that they really get that reality check, no pun intended, but because I know like a lot of people, like they turn to things like drugs and like the sex and all that, like with prostitution, because like they're lacking something and they have a hole like within their heart because of something they've gone through like within their life. So I understand. Like with me, I struggled with pornography addiction because I had a hole like within my heart. So I understand. I mean, not that I've hoarded myself out, but just so it is what it is. All right. So breaking news over there, man. He just took Jeff Jarrett on. If Tony's smart, he will listen to Jeff and he will use Jeff as a guide for success because Jeff, extremely smart, one of the best minds in the business. And I hope that Tony, he realizes he's got a cast that's around him of many, many years of wrestling experience to where he could succeed, man. He's got the experience when it comes to like the people to teach him to become the most successful wrestling business in the world. It's just a matter of whether Tony will take that on or not. But like I said, guys, I got to get going because I'm going to lay down. I'm tired. And I got to go to work soon. So I'm going to share some more. I did not realize that this would become so granular and so extended and so open-ended. I am going to probably record another show tomorrow. So, guys, I hope that you enjoyed it. Like the ones that joined me live, thank you. The Raving Ninja brother, thank you for your wonderful participation, baby. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's going to watch this later. I do appreciate it, and I pray that you realize that you're not perfect, and nor am I, and that it's okay for you to admit things, and it's okay for you to say, hey, I'm flawed, I struggle, and I make mistakes, but it's okay for you to do that. But I want you to realize too, don't let that be the defining factor on who you are, because you're beautiful and because you're wonderful, and that we all have a divine purpose here on earth. Don't beat yourself up because of your past mistakes. Let your mistakes be something that guides you towards wisdom that leads you down a path of betterment and a better life. So guys, I love you. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I'm going to be doing another show soon. All right, guys. See you later, Raven Ninja brother. Thank you so much for like your participation and hanging out. And you guys have a blessed night. Peace.